What's going on, good people? Glad you could join us for another segment of the Indie Red Tails Black History Moment. My name is Dion Penix, and today's topic is about Garrett A. Morgan. And with that being said, let's get into it.
Garrett Morgan was born in 1877 in Claysville, Kentucky, an almost exclusively African-American community outside of Paris, Kentucky. His father was Sidney Morgan, a freed chattel slave of Confederate Colonel John H. Morgan of the infamous Morgan's Raiders. His mother was a slave called Elizabeth Reed, who was the result of a union between a white minister named Reverend Garrett Reed. Being half Native American and a grandson of Reverend Garrett Reed, he had at least one sibling, a brother named Frank, who assisted in the 1916 Lake Erie Tunnel rescue. Possessing a 6th grade education from Branch Elementary School in Claysville, Morgan moved at the age of 14 to Cincinnati, Ohio, in search of employment. Most of his teenage years were spent working as a handyman for a Cincinnati landowner. Like many American children growing up in the turn of the century, Morgan had to quit school at a young age in order to work full-time. Morgan was able to hire a tutor and continue his studies while working in Cincinnati. In 1895, he moved to Cleveland, Ohio, where he began repairing sewing machines for a clothing manufacturer. This experience with repairing sewing machines was the impetus for Morgan's interest in how things work. His first invention, developed during this period, was a belt fastener for sewing machines. Throughout this period of time, before his first patent in 1912, he was slowly building his reputation in Cleveland for his skill at fixing things. In 1907, Morgan, with nearly a decade of experience with sewing machines, finally opened up his own sewing machine and shoe repair shop. In 1908, Morgan became more conscious of his heritage and helped found the Cleveland Association of Colored Men. He was the subject of a newspaper feature in Cleveland, Ohio, for a heroic rescue in 1916 of workers trapped within a water intake tunnel 50 feet beneath Lake Erie. He performed his rescue using a hood fashioned to protect his eyes from smoke and featuring a series of air tubes that hung near the ground to draw clean air beneath the rising smoke. This enabled Morgan to lengthen his ability to endure the inhospitable conditions of a smoke-filled room. Morgan is also credited as the first African American in Cleveland to own an automobile. His safety hood device was simple and effective, whereas the other devices in use at the time were generally difficult to put on, excessively complex, unreliable, or ineffective. It was patented and awarded a gold medal 2 years later by the International Association of Fire Chiefs. Morgan's safety hood was used to save many lives during the period of its use. By World War I, his breathing device was refined to carry its own air supply, making it a gas mask. However, upon their entry into the First World War, the United States Army adopted the British smallpox respirator and French M2 respirator as their standard anti-gas equipment, the former invented by Newfoundlander Clooney McPherson. The first American-made automobiles were introduced to consumers just before the turn of the 20th century, and pedestrians, bicycles, animal-drawn wagons, and motor vehicles all had to share the same roads. To deal with the growing problem of traffic accidents, a number of versions of traffic signaling devices began to be developed, starting around 1913. Morgan had witnessed a serious accident at an intersection, and he filed a patent for a traffic control device having a third warning position in 1922. The patent was granted in 1923, though this was not the first system with a warning, a 3-light system being invented in 1920 by William Potts, and previous systems having audible warnings. Morgan sold the rights to General Electric for $40,000. Morgan died on August 27, 1963, at the age of 86. His life was long and full, and his creative energies were recognized both during and after his lifetime.
Alright, that wraps up another segment of the Indie Red Tails Black History Moment. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and as always, applied knowledge is power. Thank you guys for watching.